And there you have it. After 20 episodes, we have finally revealed that, yes, indeed, Jinshi still has his Johnson. The surprise to nobody that Jinshi still is working down there. I think this is one of those things where I think most of us assumed he was not going to be an actual eunuch and that it was just all a cover story. That yes, technically, with a story like this, you expect there's going to be a romance between Maomao and Jinshi, and so the expectation is that he's going to have his unit down there. Plus, additionally, to the story itself, it seems like Jinshi is obviously somebody special. Again, my theory, and it seems like it's rehashing it in this episode, that Jinshi is the son of the Emperor. And so they're not gonna snippy snip him. They're not gonna get rid of that unit. But yeah, still, it's like, wow, it finally took us that long to finally reveal that, and everybody's like, yeah, sure, we knew that. It's like the guy that comes out of nowhere and says, hey guys, just so you know, I still got it, and everybody's like, we know, dude, we know, move on. But no, interesting episode. I think the first half of this episode was okay. I think the more interesting part of the first half is really getting that build up to what seems like Maomao having a rival. Somebody that is just as clever and into medicine as she is, that she's so fascinated by. Like, she so badly wants to meet Suirei. But additionally, the second half of this episode seemingly getting us reacquainted to the rear palace. Like, it felt like all the second half is, yes, the reveal around Jinshi and more emphasizing on who he is, but additionally kind of just reacquainting us to the rear palace, all the concubines, and additionally, yes, putting a little more emphasis on Loulan, who we've never really gotten into yet. She was welcome into the rear palace, but then Maomao was, not in the rear palace anymore, so we never got any perspective there. But it was kind of interesting that at some point in this episode, it kind of gave this little indication that Loulan might be involved with something. Like, it just followed up the whole situation with Suirei, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Loulan gets some news. I don't know. It could be specifically kind of hinting at, her getting some sort of word from the Emperor, like to meet him. Or it could be that, yes, she got word that Suirei died, and she was curious about that. But that would imply that she is involved with trying to take on Jinshi. I don't think she is. So I think that's just kind of a misdirection there. But yeah, the first half of the episode, let's just get into that. Yes, Maomao kind of tells everybody what happened. They, of course, are trying to figure out what exactly led to it. She gives them the full rundown. And then at that point, she later realizes, oh, crap. This girl might still be alive. If they're pointing at Suirei and she's literally dead, she might still be alive because she was actually looking into this resurrection medicine. She was testing Maomao, all this kind of stuff. And I think what they're implying there is that, what Maomao, I think, implying there is that Suirei knew that she could possibly figure it out. She was prodding me. She was testing me. And yeah, she had her master plan in play, and she was, I think, she was hoping that Maomao wouldn't figure it out. And so yes, Maomao figured it out. Runs in there. I have a request for you. Why are you smiling? Oh crap, I can't cover it up. I so badly want to see this body. But yeah, they go there, end up finding out, yes, the doctor that Suirei knew was involved with the autopsy, knowing full well that he would not cut her body, and that hopefully eventually her men will come in, bring her out of there, she would wake up, and then they can cremate the other body. And yeah, this is the point which Maomao gets a little excited. She gets a little excited. Oh yeah, by the way, I need to stitch up my leg. I got a little bit too excited. But yeah, Maomao getting super excited and cackling in the middle of the room. All because, again, I think she found her rival. I think she is so fascinated by Suirei. She's like, I want to find her. Not because I want to stop her. You're like, you almost got away with it, but I'm not going to let you get away with it. And it's like a competition there. But it's more so the fact that Maomao's like, yes, I can talk to this girl. She knows something I don't. I want to pick at her brain. I want to find out who put this entire mastermind thing together, pulled it off. She placed her bets, staked her life on it, and then she got away with it. I want to know about this medicine. It was so fun. I did like that whole thing. I got a huge kick out of it. But yeah, I think the more interesting thing here is that there's the question mark that I have following everything with Suirei. Because obviously this is not done. Even later on, Jinshi's like, we're kind of figuring this out by our own. We're keeping things covered. In secret, they're trying to figure out what's going on with Suirei. The public, everybody else thinks that Suirei's dead, that she did everything. She nearly killed Jinshi, and she ended her life. But obviously they know. But he's saying that this is going to take a while to figure out. They hit on this idea that, yes, she was brought in by the doctor's master. She was eventually adopted, and then this whole thing happened. But again, Mama was like, ain't no way that she did us on her own. Yeah, she probably procured the medicines. She probably had a thing to do with the whole burning of the warehouse. But stealing the ceremonial stuff, the whole thing with the metal workers, setting up the actual thing in the ceremony chamber, that's not something that the Suirei could have done. She had to have somebody else, but they don't know because she died. And additionally, whoever they worked with, the metal workers and stuff, whoever made that order, they're gone. The metal worker's dead. There's so many things they put into play that made sure that nothing got out. And thus, this is the story ends there. But again, I think they're definitely going to be eventually swinging back to it. My question mark that I have after this whole thing unfolded is, who is Suirei? Why is she still alive? Because of course, the assumption that we have at this point, or at least I have, is that Loulan was involved. He probably put Suirei up to it. That's why I think that Suirei didn't like Maomao. Now, it could be that Suirei didn't like Jinshi, and thus she didn't like Maomao, and that she was just doing this whole thing to kill Jinshi. But Jinshi doesn't indicate that he ever knew her. So the question mark here really is that if Suirei herself did it for Loulan, why would they go through the efforts of faking her death? Why wouldn't Loulan just have her killed? Like everything else that happens in this setting, when somebody does something, some sort of conspiracy to take somebody out, everybody involved is dead. And anybody that dies has everything pinned on them. It's a way of covering it up. So why is Suirei so special that she was allowed to fake her death and survive? Unless Loulan was going to have her killed, and thus she faked her own death in order for him not to kill her. But who helped her out? Somebody had to help her out, unless she just paid for people to assist her, which could have been. But that's kind of the curious thing. And the only thing I could think of is that Loulan likes Suirei because she's clever. Because she's sort of like Maomao, but it's not Maomao. And so he likes and is interested in Suirei, but he's not in love with her. And Loulan has sort of a different obsession with Maomao, which I'm hoping doesn't go any further than that. You never know. You never know. But anyways, that was, again, sort of an interesting kind of layoff there and finishing there. And obviously, again, transitioning right into reintroducing the actual Rear Palace, which I'm super excited for. I miss all the moments in the Rear Palace stuff has been easily the best stuff. Like the full first core, I loved it. I loved every bit of it. So I'm happy to get back to the Rear Palace. I just have so much. There's so much entertainment to be had with all these different concubines and the crazy stuff that happens back there. I mean, I adore Gyoku. I think that Liha's story was easily the best story in the entire series so far. And again, I'm very curious about this Loulan. Now, in reintroducing the characters of the Rear Palace, what they're emphasizing here is that they're going through and talking about each one of them again. And especially with Gyokyo, which apparently is now pregnant again, or supposedly, possibly pregnant again. So that's where Maomao is going to get back into the Rear Palace, is taking care of her. But then we're talking about specifically Loulan. We didn't get much of Loulan before. Loulan was this new concubine coming in to replace Odo. It seemed like she didn't care about her position. She chucked the crown, which was pretty much ceremoniously given over to Jinshi by Odo. And there's a lot of emphasis on how important it was. They went through this whole ceremony and they put a lot of emphasis on she's placing it there. She walks away from it. Now, this new person coming, Loulan, slowly walks in the back there, gets into her chambers, chucks it. That shows like this dislike for being there. They're already emphasizing Loulan doesn't want to be there. And again, the whole party, the welcoming party that Maomao and all them had, she didn't want to be there. But she did show interest in Maomao. But that's all we got. Here it's emphasizing that Loulan is the daughter of a very prominent man that knew the previous emperor. And so it seems like the current emperor is bringing her in order to essentially appease them. So this seems like it's a political move. And why this is odd is because when you think about the Rear Palace and the concubines, what do you think? Women that are there in order to birth the next prince. So why put so much emphasis on the idea that he's not supposed to get her pregnant and that he needs to go see her still in order to, play into it and to entertain her? And it's all for the sake of essentially not rocking the boat. Like it's putting a lot of emphasis on there could be some sort of political issue if she gets pregnant. And it's like, then why is she a concubine? Again, I guess it goes in the whole realm of the only reason that she's there is for a political move. And at the same time, there's an expectation that he doesn't get her pregnant. It's an oddity there. I mean, it's the whole thing with Lishu. My prediction around Lishu has always been this idea that he brought Lishu in sort of to take care of her. That there's something around her that he's trying to take care of her. He feels bad for her and all that kind of stuff. Because again, we emphasize the emperor doesn't touch Lishu. He doesn't like the idea that his father, or the previous emperor, was into these little girls. And again, then why did you bring her in? And my only thought there, again, is the fact that he's just trying to take care of her. He feels bad for her. He knew her. Something. But it is still an oddity in that whole situation. But again, it could be that Lishu is a political move. The reason that she's there is because of a political move. But again, hopefully they'll emphasize or at least clarify that kind of stuff, because in the end of the day, it's turned down to Gyokyo and Lifa are the actual concubines, and the other two, I guess, are political moves or just feeling sorry for her. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, it seems like Jinshi's trying to get that all figured out. He's like, Loulan's over here. She's apparently confusing the hell out of the emperor because she shows up in different outfits all the time. She's very trendy, and she likes her changing her appearances, and he's confused. But at the same time, it seems like Lishu is another case of, like, I guess, taking care of her because he doesn't want to touch her. But then again, that leads into Gyokyo possibly being pregnant. Now, all great. Maomao's getting welcomed back into the River Palace again. It seems like there is an acknowledgement from Maomao that Jinshi might be doing that in order for her to get away from Lacan, which I think is great. Give us a little break there with Lacan. Yeah, I would love to solve that mystery and get it out of the way, but it seems like the writer wants to kind of, okay, we got crazy there. Now let's go over here and do this for a little bit. We'll come back to that later. Because Lacan's not going to be going back there unless he becomes a eunuch, question mark, just like Jinshi becomes a eunuch. But yeah, that's interesting. The whole thing with him taking the medicine and Gaoshun's like tasting it. Yep, it tastes bad, but it's good. It's not poisoned. And he's like, ah, gosh, you're literally gonna make yourself unable to do it. And he's like, yeah, but you're drinking it too. Yeah, but I have children. I have grandchildren. I just it's not a worry for me. He's like, yeah, you really want me to get a wife and settle down and get rid of all this stuff. Yeah, I would love to see my grandchildren. Nudging him, dude, go, go. Mama's right there. Take her in. But anyways, yeah, they also kind of confirm the idea that he's only like 19 years old, which another big shock there. He's always been hiding his actual age. But yeah, that little scene after that, after kind of revealing all the concubines was interesting because it goes into Jinshi rehashing that whole story about the Emperor Dowager's child and, yes, Ado's child. Which, again, I think it is sort of doing this here in order for us to be reminded because there's going to be something coming up here soon that is going to emphasize on that. But again, it is rehashing that same story. The Empress Dowager was having a child. They pulled the doctor away from Ado, who had the child at the same time. She lost her uterus and at the same time lost the child. And now we're supposed to expect that Jinshi is not the child. But again, it was interesting to have at least Jinshi is acknowledging this, acknowledging what we've sort of been laying out. But additionally, he's also saying at the end here, the emperor, if only that son was still alive. Foolish delusions, he just needs to make a new prince. So it's like a brief moment there of him almost acknowledging, like, if only I was there, no, that could never happen. He just needs to make a new one. Now, again, this is the oddity here because it's literally saying, I am that son, and if only I was alive, we wouldn't have this whole problem of everybody basically racing to make a prince. Gokyo and Liha, they're all focused. The focus right here is he's spending time with all these girls, and he needs to make a boy. But I'm right here. But the question is why does Jinshi not acknowledge that? Unless Jinshi was never told that he was the son of the current emperor. That could be the case. And he might be making a connection there. And I can see that. If they disconnected him from, Ado and everybody very quickly and just said that he's just this kid over here, raise him over here, and eventually he'll serve the emperor as like a secret knight, that could be. It could be that Jinshi doesn't know. But if he does know, why is this a thing? It almost implies this idea of why are you not being seen as a prince? Why is that a bad thing? Why did they make him no longer the prince? Why did they fake his death? That's all a big question mark. What is it about Jinshi that can't exist? Did they hate Ado and not want her to birth the prince? It's a massive question mark, and I'm very curious how they're going to play it out in the future, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm happy to see Maomao going back there again. Her being with Gokyo, like she immediately is like, yes, I get to eat poison again. Yes. the poor lady Surin was like so upset. Man, I finally had somebody that I loved instructing and cracking the whip at, but I can't anymore. I feel so bad for her. Poor Suirei. But yeah, I did like the fact that at some point, Maomao did question why somebody would have gone through so much trouble to try to kill Jinshi. Again, that is part of where Maomao is sort of connecting that there's something special about Jinshi. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 20 of Apothecary Diaries. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I didn't usually use first impressions top list if it's anime, it's premature. Additionally, if you want to support channel more, I have Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. And y'all take care.